Yo, 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 it's your girl and boy CT. I'm Cindy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we are the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
Sponsored by Journey 333. That is a place of mind, body, spirit that helps you with fitness, coaching, and nutrition to look better, live better, and feel better. We produce these episodes every week for your enjoyment to help people to overcome adversity and live their dreams.
Yo, 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 it's your girl and boy CT. I'm Cindy Barnes.
And I'm Travis Barnes.
And we are the founders of the Overcomers Podcast.
The Overcomers Podcast is sponsored by Journey 333. Now, that is a place of fitness, coaching, and nutrition. It is mind, body, spirit, where we help you to look better, live better, and feel better. And today, we are going to be talking to somebody that knows all about Journey.
Oh, that's for sure.
He knows about Journey as well as we do. This man is like a brother. He's like a son. He's become a great friend. He is our first franchisee. He is a certified personal trainer. He is a business owner. He is a presenter. He is an author of 52 Amazing Journeys. He is a true overcomer. Jeremy Purifoy, welcome to the show.
What's up, y'all?
What up?
Thanks for having me. I'm excited for this.
I am excited too.
Thanks for being here.
You know, we've been growing this podcast for a little while now, and we've always wanted to, of course, have episodes that highlight key people in our community. And what better place to start than with you, who was like, I mean, nobody's been with the company longer than you. You're the most senior person in the company. You're our first franchisee, and you have one heck of a story to tell. So let's get on with your story. Jeremy, let me ask you this. When did you first fall in love with fitness? You know, when did it become your passion, your purpose, you know?
I'll say at a very young age, I knew even in middle school what I wanted to do, whether it's going to be like a coach for a football team or a personal trainer. Obviously, group fitness wasn't really a thing back then that I know of, you know, but I knew I wanted to do something to help other people. Like I knew that was my calling. I knew it wasn't to be a teacher. It wasn't to be a doctor, you know. Even those dreams of being like in the NFL really wasn't there. It was just like, I just knew I wanted to help others become better versions of themselves. My 7th grade year in middle school, I got cut from the basketball team. I was a little, you know, out of shape, a little chunky. And, you know, working up to tryouts, I didn't put the effort in that I needed to make the team. So I didn't make the team. And that was kind of eye opener for me at that moment. I could have took several avenues. I could have went a different way, been sad, depressed, you know, gave up basketball completely, especially being at age when you have I would say middle school is one of the tougher years for adolescents. You know, you're finding yourself, you're making new friends, hormones are all over the place, right? So like one little thing like that can be devastating to a young person, and that could deter them from ever even wanting to play the sport again. They could, you know, become, you know, more in the streets, wherever it might be that in their community at that time. They could have different options. Well, I took the option of, you know, how can I get better so I can make the team next year? And then I did make the team next year, 8th grade year. And, you know, my boy Jermaine, who's no longer with us, Nick Miller, who we know his parents really well, and myself were like the top 3 on that squad my 8th grade year. So instead of taking some negative and making it worse, you know, I made it positive, and I made that the way to like, hey, how can I get better? I was in the gym all the time. I still practiced with the team, even though I wasn't on the team, to get myself better, right? So just having that never give up attitude, right? And I think that started in 7th grade, and it started with myself. I didn't really have that coach that coached me through it. You know, I made the decision to work harder to get to where I need to get to. So I would say that's where it really started with 7th grade, which is kind of crazy.
You know, there's a saying that in life, things can make you bitter or things can make you better. And you chose better. It sounds like, you know, if there's already a takeaway from this episode and you're listening in, he asked, in the face of failure, in the face of rejection, he said, how can this make me better? Right. You know, so like that's an important thing for all of us to do. I think that's really good. And so it was back then that you started getting passionate about fitness because you had to transform yourself. You described yourself as a little chunky, you know, like right? you were Michael.
Someone that suffered with you know, weight issues my entire life, man. My brother is 6'1", got the athletic build. I'm the guy that, like, if I eat a donut, you know, if I walk by a donut, I'm about to put a spare tire on real quick, you know. So I always had to be more cautious on how I approach things. And going into high school, you know, I was football, basketball, I maintained staying athletic, so there wasn't really a huge weight thing in high school. More of a issue of me being more hard on myself and looking at myself in the mirror, having those self identity issues where I saw myself as a person I wanted to be like, 6-pack lean, and I never had that chance. So it was more of those personal things that were going on in my own head. But when I look at myself, like I was still in like pretty good shape throughout high school. And even in high school, man, I hit the weight room hard. I love the weight room. That was my place, right? So I remember just being on JV and having Dana Carpenter and Dick Sanko, the coaches for varsity, and the strength and conditioning program there was amazing. Loud music, you just heard the weights banging in the weight room. Just loved that atmosphere. And then my varsity year, they all retired, so it was like we didn't have that same atmosphere in the gym. So I was that guy trying to bring the atmosphere in the gym, training the team, getting out and doing sand work with agility work and going up to the track, doing stadium runs. And, I was a guy trying to lead that charge, and there wasn't many people behind me to join me on it. Only a few of my teammates were really involved with that. So the guy that was like the captain of the football team my senior year and should have been being trained myself. I was, kind of leading all the trainings, it was, that was my passion right there. And that's when I knew like this is where it really hit as in high school. And then a couple of my friends, my friend Anthea, who ended up playing D2 basketball, she tore ACL in high school. And, I helped her bounce back, taking her out on the court, running drills with her, getting her in the weight room, working on stability work, which, at that time I didn't really know anything about that stuff. I researched it, looked into it, but I definitely wasn't no expert on it. And my friend Colin, my best friend Colin to this day, my man was diagnosed with MS in 12th grade, which is very hard, right? So we did a lot of balance training, again, hitting the weight room, going out in the field, doing baseball drills, just helping them get through that tough time. And again, I didn't need to go to college because at this point I already knew like my journey was going to be exercise phys, like kinesiology, something that had to do with training, because that's what I love to do and I want to continue to do that. However, after my senior year, I always had shoulder issues with my left shoulder. I would catch easy stingers, like hitting somebody, my shoulder would give out. And one day in practice and my senior year of high school, I did a simple bounce pass to the post and my shoulder gave out. And I was like, man, my focus is football. Like I want to play football in college. So I quit basketball, got in the weight room still, try to see if I can keep my shoulders strong and healthy. I was going to go to Erie Community College up in Buffalo. I was recruited to go there to play football. And then finally I went and got my shoulder checked, and I had some torn ligaments in my shoulder. The doctor said I put enough muscle around the bone that it kept it in place, but at any point it could dislocate. So I opted for arthroscopic surgery that year, that summer going into my freshman year of college. And therefore I couldn't drive for 6 months. My dad had to drop me off to EFA, where I went to high school at, for night classes my freshman year of college, while everybody else is out enjoying their college lives at different schools and locations. And I was still going to my high school for night classes. This is where it kind of was like the turning point where it kind of broke me. Instead of me like, using that as motivation to like get better, at that point I started partying a little bit more, getting into drinking and, just acting like a young 20-year-old at that point, 20-year-old. And then that's when a lot of the weight gain came back on easily, and not really recognizing like how bad I was with my weight gain. I did rebound a little bit, and I played my sophomore year. I played college at Alfred State. I went to play football at Alfred State, which is a JUCO school. But again, it was just like, I think I was so lost from the previous year that, I never really was able to find myself even on the football field again, man. So I think that took my love for the game away. And then the game of coaching, right? You see things that, you don't feel like is great coaching, right? When you're a coach, you're supposed to be building camaraderie. And I felt like on that particular team, there's a lot of segregation. You had people that were from Florida, they ran in little cliques, New York City ran in little cliques, Jersey we're in little cliques, and you have like the upstate New York kids. And I never felt like the team was actually brought together. And that kind of turned me off from even wanting to play the next year in football.
I was going to say, it's like you've had a couple motivations, and one was very positive, and then you're the type of person that can, find motivation from a negative situation. So for those of you listening in, I know that we got members, friends, family of Jeremy on this podcast listening in, and so if you're wondering how long has he been doing group training, sounds like he was doing group training as far back as high school, right? And Jack LaLanne, he didn't worry about, what certification do I have? He just started inventing some equipment and getting some people to exercise. Right. So, you saw the need for the football team to get in shape, and you're like, come on, let's do the group. And then you saw there were some friends that needed customized routines. We work with people at Journey who have certain limitations, and whether it be your friend Thea or your friend Colin, there were people that needed some customized routines, and you're already customizing routines and doing private training, way back when you're in high school. So you find your passion, and so you find your motivation, right? And then you wind up in a negative situation, which had to do with your shoulder first, but then not really having the kind of coach that you are, the one that brings people together. And would you say that those kind of situations serve as a reminder of the kind of coach that you want to be, that doesn't have segregation, that doesn't have divided, that has the kind of community that you built? I mean, you got a great community, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the huge, right? You take, lessons learned, either good or bad. You know what I mean? There's things that I've learned from those coaches too that were great, but there's things that I'm like, man, if I ever get the opportunity, I would never lead a charge that way. You know what I mean? I would never want to have like these little cliques and these little groups or making people feel bad about each other. Like, that's not who I am, and that's not who I want my team to be. And that's where I look at my fit fam. You're right. The Corning Tribe, that's my fit fam. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they're not a part of something, right? We're all on this together. We're all in this together. As long as you set foot on Journey, Corning, or any journey, for that being said, we're all in this together. We're here to support you. You want the best version of yourself, and know that no matter what it is, you always have sort of this cry on, or even if you want to get some high fives, we'll give that high five no matter the situation.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that college experience. So you go to college because you're like, man, this is what I want to do. And, kudos to you for you to tap into the passions and the things that make your soul sing and say, I'm going to make a life out of this. And so, what was it like, graduating from college, kind of where were you at, with your physical condition, with your career? Did you feel like you were, just ready to go out and set the world on fire? Or, like, what came next,
Well, yeah, I mean, I knew I wanted to. I knew at that point, though, I started seeing things like, for example, the first reality check of mine of like, oh boy, you got to do something. Like, if you want to change others' lives, that you got to change your life too, right? So I was looking for a Facebook picture, a profile picture on Facebook, and I'm like, man, my face looks huge in all these pictures. I'm like, man, do I really look like, I guess I was like blinded to like what I really look like. But I knew at that time, I always wanted to wear like 2XL sweatpants and 2XL hoodies. Didn't want to put no jeans on. You would never see me in jeans. I always just wanted to wear hoodies and sweatpants, right? Because I was hiding what was really going on. And then I was blinded to what I really look like. And I'm like, if I ever wanted to be a trainer, if I ever wanted to take this to the next level, I wanted to inspire people to look like me, not saying like, why are you training me, right? They would be like, why are you training me? Because I was almost 270 pounds, and that's the thing too, I never touched a scale. So I never really realized how much I weighed until I was at Brockport, and I touched that scale and it kept going up. 10 more. And I'm like, oh shoot, there's no way. There's no way I'm over 260 pounds right now. Like, I was in complete denial. Granted, I did lift a lot of weight. Like, I was like one of those like really buff guy that held a lot of adipose tissue. Like, under the adipose tissue was a lot of muscle. I would just say that, right? So there was a lot of muscle, but that's not what I wanted my vision to be. That's not who I wanted to be. And it took me trying to find a profile picture to realize that, hey, you got to make a change.
I think that there's a good takeaway there, and I don't want to gloss over it. For all of our listeners, for those that are, maybe pursuing a similar path. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're pursuing a path as a fitness coach, but maybe a path to want to change someone else's life. And if you want to change someone else's life, you have to change your own first. So don't miss what Jeremy said there. That's a really good takeaway. So what did you do? What happened? You know?
So then we came back. So Kristen and I moved back to Elmira after Brockport. And we moved in an apartment, and I started working in the glove house. I was at the glove house for two to 3 years. I can't really remember what it was. Probably about 2 years. I was there, and within that time, I was still lifting. Grand Central Fitness was the gym I went to up in Kmart Plaza. It was like 24-hour gym. We'll be there nights from like 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. Like, that was our spot. We always went there. Loved it, and it's like, that's our community, like a couple of my boys, that's what we worked out all the time. And then I knew, like, at that time at the glove house, I started dialing in, I started meal prepping. I also knew, like, I didn't think New York State was my final destination. I wanted to go bigger. I wanted to go down south. I wanted to be in sunshine. I'm not a snow guy. That's why I got a hat on right now in my house. I don't like being cold. I want sunshine. I thrive in the sun. And, I knew if I was to make a move around that time, if something didn't work out, I have a great support system back here in Elmira with my family, that I could come back and bounce back, right? So, like, I wanted to take that risk and move and get out of here, but I'll get to that in a second. But so anyway, I started at Glove House, and along with Logan, me and Logan Peters, that's where we met. Where it was at the Glove House. Logan was pushing 300 pounds. I was, close, not quite 300 pounds, but him and I, we kind of like, hey, let's do this together. Like we taught fitness and stuff to the kids there. Like we'll go and I actually brought a weight room to the evening support program, where I'll go in there and train the kids. This again before I even got into fitness. And then we'll go and play basketball, different sports. We're like the gym teachers for these kids that need is extra support after school. But I mean,
for the audience, Jeremy, that may not know, what exactly is the glove house? Like, just for.
So there's for troubled youth, there's group homes. My particular program was an evening support. These kids were court ordered to go to this program after school and during the summertime too. So during the summertime, they'll be with us for 8 hours a day, and we'll do community service stuff, project, work on, any summer schooling, schoolwork, and again, try to keep them active in a structured place for several hours throughout the day before they went back home. So that was my program that I worked for, was the evening support, Logan and I. And then, so him and I were just like, listen, let's start meal prepping. We held each other accountable. We were meal prepping every Sunday and Wednesday were our meal prep days. And, Logan was like 100 pounds in 6 months. And then, I probably was like right behind him with 80 pounds, a little longer for me, to lose that weight. But we both went on that journey, and I saw his shift. And then, his journey, right, together, which was cool because now we're in the journey together, him owning Ithaca and I'm owning Corning, which is so dope to have that relationship with Logan still. So then, I was looking around different gyms, New York Sport and Fitness. I was like, I'll come in here and I'll work the front desk, maybe just exchange for membership. I just want to get some experience, want to get my foot in the door with fitness. And that time there wasn't much fit. It's crazy since 26 and now I'll be 34 next month. Within an 8-year period, how much fitness has grown in this area, so there with them, and I that didn't work out. So Kristen's stepmom, Julie, who was a member at Journey when it first started in 2013, sent me a message and was like, hey, Dream Brockport is this great gym. It's small, but it's in Elmira Heights. Oh, but you should look into it. I looked into it, didn't see much about it, but she gave me Travis's email Travis. And this is again 2013, about November-ish. And then at that point they weren't looking, and he said, you're keeping me in mind. January of 2014, I started at Grand Central Fitness as a front desk person. And then I actually had a client lined up towards the end of January to start training her. And then the next month, the gym caught on fire. So I'm like, man, is this really supposed to be like, is this my dream? Like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I supposed to be in fitness? I feel like everything that's telling me to get there there's always a roadblock saying, nah, not yet, not yet. So I always feel like I took 10 steps forward and 30 steps backwards, right? So the gym caught on fire in February. My daughter was born in March. And then I finally got an email from Travis in April, hey, you still interested in an internship? And I was like, oh, yes, for sure. So I came in, met with Travis and Cindy, and from there it's kind of like history. You know, I came in to help them out so they can go to conference, and I ended up going to conference with them, which was pretty cool. My first Perform Better, meeting Martin Rooney, Todd Durkin, the energy was live, and right there and then, you know, I knew I was home. I was in a place that, you know, if I would have moved, I wouldn't have been here. If it wasn't for Jocelyn, I wouldn't have been here. So, you know, those things in life, if the gym didn't burn down and got Bristol Fitness, who knows, like what I just kept doing one-on-one training and to settle for that, you know what I mean? But meeting Travis and Cindy in that April of 2014, you know, and opening Journey Fitness Corning in January of 2015, less than 8 months being part of the Journey world, I opened a second location. It all just fell in place, man, and I am happy. Like there's no better feeling. I never wake up saying like, damn, I gotta do this again. Like I'm always fired up, even if it's at 4 a.m. Well, more like 3:15 a.m. that I'm getting up to teach a 4:30 a.m. session, man. I know there's a bigger purpose, and these people are paying for me to change their lives, or even just to be a part of my life, right? They're there to be part of our lives, and we're part of their lives and making it better, man. So like that's what lights the fire within me to light the fire within them, because they're there for me just as much as I am there for them. So I mean, I love what I do, and I wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't for the two people here on the screen.
Well, you know, let's speak to that for a second. First of all, you know, since it's such a Phoenix story, from the ashes of Grand Central Fitness came Jeremy.
Literally.
A true Phoenix, a true overcomer, and you know, somebody that was persistent about his dreams. Like there's a saying, and it goes, every great dream will be tested. Now I can't tell you why they're tested. I think it's to strengthen our resolve. You know, you know, when you're going through something, when you're going through a storm, you won't be the same when you come out on the other side. That's what the storm is about. And the storm is about testing us, right? And so, you know, you're more committed to your career than you would have been if it had come easy, right? You know, it had to come with some major change in yourself. You had to change yourself so you could change other lives. You had to, you know, have a few bumps. You had to have your gym burnt down. You know, it's just an amazing thing and, you know, let's speak to why Jeremy didn't end up covering for us to go to conference.
I know, I didn't want people to miss that either. So we interviewed Jeremy, and we were like, listen, we're going to be going to conference. We need some coverage here at the location. Are you willing to do that? We weren't really thinking of, you know, needing a full-time employee, or we wanted some coverage. And oh man, it was a short period of time. He was there just a couple weeks, and we were like, whoa, this guy cannot stay here and cover at the facility. We got to take him with us to conference and have him learn with us. And so then it was like, okay, we need to find someone else to cover at the location so that we can take this guy with us. And I mean, honestly, best decision we made for sure. Taking you with us and just growing together, because we were so young in business. I mean, barely open a year, little over a year at that point.
Little over a year, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we were still learning, and we all take off and go to conference. And like you said, opening our second location within 8 months of employment is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, really. Right. So,
you know that's he came far.
Right. And, you know, I mean, there was a lesson in that too. You know, he came aboard at a time where we had somebody working for us that had 13 years of experience and a master's degree. So it looked good on paper, but this person, I won't mention any names, you know, he had a lot of other issues. And, you know, so here comes Jeremy with a very limited experience. Had only been at a gym for a month that had burnt down, you know, and turned out to be the best decision that we ever made. So there's something to be learned from that story that I just shared right there. You know, like, you know, make sure that you keep your eyes open in every situation. And we sure did. That's why we're like, he's got to go to conference with us. We got to get him trained up, you know?
Yeah.
And so Jeremy, you know, from there, now you're a business owner, which I love the story of you and Logan, and I'm so honored to be part of your lives and, you know, to consider you family. From there, you become a business owner. And let's see, we were about 1 year or more, about a year into business ownership when something unprecedented happened. You know, the world has never had business owners be told that they had to shut down their business. Not to any recollection that I have. I mean, this is, you know, unprecedented times. Here we are as business owners thinking that you kind of control your own destiny as an entrepreneur. You know, you work hard and, you know, you make stuff happen. And then all of a sudden they say, no, you can't work hard. I mean, you can work hard virtually, but you can't work hard in your physical location. So what was that like? You know, here you are, this overcomer. What have you learned? You know, what was it like to be in a pandemic for almost 2 years now, you know?
Oh, well, yeah, we celebrated our 1 year anniversary and then 3 days later shut our doors, right? So that's how close it was. Like I celebrated 1 year of being the business owner, right? So been 6 years of quarantine. Will be 7 years of quarantine next month, which is huge. And then be 3 years in March of ownership, which time flies, right? So the moral of that little statement right there is the fact that, you know, we're still here and we're still alive, which is super important. But with the pandemic itself, man, you know, if we can make it through this, we can make it through this, we make it through anything. It's still a challenge to this day. When it all happened, man, it was very scary. And again, another dark part of my life, you know, I would say that I was going through. You know, I was just recently engaged. And then, so no, that was 2019. So wait, was I engaged yet? I can't remember. Maybe I got engaged like that. Maybe I was engaged. Yeah, I was engaged. I think so. I can't remember. Sorry, Kristen. My bad. Somewhere's around that range. Everything blends together now. Even with you know Julian being born in a pandemic, he was born in 2020. So it was just a lot. Obviously, you could tell there was a lot going on in this one time of this being shut down. Very scary moment. We didn't know what was going to come out of it again, but the support of the community in Corning, man, once again, man, like we didn't have members like dropping off. Like you would think that, oh man, you know, we're shutting down. We're paying for a service that we're not getting. People can easily been like, well, we're not going to pay you, right? But I think the relationship is built enough that several supported for a very, 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 very long time, longer than I even expected. And then we were able to bounce back so quickly, you know, us as leadership with doing the virtual thing and that capable feeling a part of us, even during a hard time when we didn't know what was going to happen in our nation at that time, man. There was so much going politically and with the virus. It was a hot mess, man. As simple as that. It was a hot mess. So, you know, then obviously, then I had my son who decided to come 2 months early and during the pandemic where he was a preemie, he was in a hospital for a month. You know, and we only do one parent a day, one parent a day. And once you left, you couldn't go back. So that was very hard times. You know, my daughter didn't even meet Julian until, you know, a month after he was born. I mean, he saw her on FaceTime. So like, again, personal life, work life, you know, trying to balance gym. I have a pretty solid team, right, too, and try to make them happy that most of them are still here with me, even after all that. I can't say after the pandemic because we're still in it, but like, you know, for the most part, I feel like we're getting out of it, hopefully, you know, and we're in a better place as a business. But every team member that was with me during, you know, the shutdown is still with me now. So that was a huge like motivation. Like I can't. I'm not only doing this for me. I'm not only doing this for my family. I got people that I have, you know, with me on this that are my team that I have to make sure they come out and see more of what we're doing, right? And still be that light in people's days on the darkest times because it was a very dark time. In dark time, I had to snap out of it. Once again, in the pandemic, you know, my lowest I've ever been was 185, which my head was too big for my body, so I wasn't feeling that. So my happy place is around 195, 200, and I got up to 230 in the pandemic. So I too, you know, not the COVID-19, I put the COVID-30 on, and it was just tough, right? You know, and then I had to go seek help and professional help, and I linked up with Dr. Phillip, got some blood work done, and you know, got on a different diet, and you know, he gave me a lot of answers to me that I was going on internally that I can't see, which, everyone has that. We see what we see, but we don't know what's going on inside of us, right? So to go get those answers, if you're feeling like you're in a spot that you are dark, find someone to talk to that can get you that light. And Dr. Sillett was a great help to motivate me and get me refocused on who I am and where I needed to be. So, I'm down to 205 now. So that 30 pounds is gone. I feel better. I'm not so soft and fluffy and emotional. I feel way better. And again, this helps me as a leader and as a family man, as a father. I feel way more present now because that was a hard time. And again, if it wasn't for the Fit family, if it wasn't for Travis's Cindy leadership team to keep us going and saying, listen, this is what we got to do to stay alive. If we just shut down completely and just said we're just gonna wait to come out of this, I don't think it would have been possible. So like the fact that we never stopped working was huge for our success right now and going forward.
Yeah, well, let's backtrack on this here for a second, because I want our listeners to imagine that you've put your butt on the line to have a dream fulfilled and own a fitness business. And you're 1 year into it, around the time of an engagement, let's call it a long overdue engagement, right? So this is Kristen. How long you and Kristen been together?
18 years.
18 years, yes. And so
19, damn it, 19. I'm messing up. 19. Because next year will be 20 years. My fault. Next year will be 20 years.
You can give Kristen a public apology on here. No, but so he's finally planning for this big future, right? I mean, they're trying to, do all the things that you do. You got to pay for a wedding and you got to do different things. And, and here we are, the business is shut down. And now not only is the business shut down, but I'm going to have a son born and there's going to be in a hospital that I can only see every other day, and then on top of that, I'm trying to navigate these challenges, but I'm all stressed out because I don't know when I'm going to be able to open my business again. I'm realizing the importance of relationships. You had a supportive community. Sounds like you've given your team and your community a good shout out in the process. So you're learning the importance of relationships, but you're also discovering, hello, Journey community. Jeremy's human too. He's gaining 30 pounds. He's not feeling good about that. Shout out to Dr. Sillett and anybody that wants to get with a naturopathic doctor to learn about things. I mean, there's so much going on there. First of all, I want to ask our listeners, how would you feel if all that was coming down around you? What steps would you take? What would you learn from it? Jeremy learned how important the relationships were that he had with his team and with his community. And Jeremy looked at himself and said, you know what? I don't want to go this direction. I don't want to keep gaining. I don't want to go back up to 270 or 280 or whatever that was, when you came down those 80 pounds, and so he made a decision to do something about it. He talked to a professional. Coaches need coaches too. Yeah. We believe coaching is important. Sometimes our coaches are doctors. Sometimes they're other coaches. Jeremy, shout out to you for the retention that you've had in your community. What's the longest person you've been leading this location since it opened? And, you've been owning it for a few years now. What's the longest person on your team? How long have they been with you?
Cam been with me for 7 years.
Yeah. So you've been there 7 years and Cam's been there, 7 years. And Tom's probably right behind him.
Right behind him. Yeah. So it's cool. I mean, Maddie's been there 3 years. We have some good numbers. Samir over 2 years now. So and again, they're young, right? So that's the thing too, is that they're so young and there's other jobs out there that they could have jumped on during the pandemic that was still, probably paying a good amount of money, especially being like in Corning, you have Corning Incorporated. So you have those things too, right? And, they sit on my side, and they're still here rocking me now. So, I just got big things for them in the future, man. I owe so much to them because, again, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do this as well, man. And they make my job a lot easier because they're just so great at what they do. So great shout out to them. Tom's a lifesaver when it comes to the numbers. I'm not a numbers guy. Don't mind the numbers. I like to look at them, but when it comes to getting in depth, he's the man for that. So thank you for always being that rock, And again, the support from them, the membership, though we lost over 100 within the pandemic, we still have the most out their journeys right now. And, you know, we're keep growing and to still see that we are celebrating people for 8 years, 7 years of being with us as members. I mean, that's just remarkable, man. Those are milestones that you think that there's people with us almost a decade of fitness with us, you know, and that's pretty inspiring.
Yeah. Well, what's the secret? What's the secret for people that are listening in saying, man, I mean, he got people to stay with him through a pandemic. You know, maybe there's employers that are listening, you know, other entrepreneurs are like, man, I can't get nobody to stay with me for a year, let alone through a pandemic and 7 years. Or, you know, the fact that you have the most members out of all the journeys right now, the fact that you're celebrating 8-year anniversaries and 7-year anniversaries. What do you think the secret is?
I think transparency, one thing, just being transparent with them, you know, like I really feel, you know, with like my family, like, you know, just stuff that goes on in my life. Like you know, I don't like hide it, you know, you know, I'm human, right? You know, as much as, you know, I'm here to support y'all and help y'all get better, right? There's some things that are going on in my life too. So, and with transparency, I'll say vulnerability, like I'm vulnerable, right? You know, I'm human. So, I'm just trying to be as real as possible, right? And not put up this front like that I got everything, that I am everything. You know, I'm the answers because I'm not the answers. I'll go get answers, right? Like you said, even coaches need coaches. You know, there's times that in my life, you know, I hired Ellie Gilbert. You know, I need an accountability coach for my nutrition right now, right? So I went and hired a well-known speaker in our industry to hold me accountable for 4 months with my nutrition, right? So like, hey, we all need some support, some help, and I'm not afraid to admit that. So transparency, vulnerability, relationships, you know, as we're all about, love and caring, support, you know, hey, I'm only one text away, one phone call away. If you ever need anything, just let me know. Listen, that's who I am. That's who I'll always be, you know, yeah, and I'm open. I'm open. My door is always open. You know, you can talk to me about anything.
Yeah. Well, so proud of you and so proud to be your teammate. Each person that joins us on this journey, whether they be a member or a teammate, always adds value. And Jeremy, you've added a ton of value to Journey, and we just thank you and appreciate you so much. You know, it gives us a lot of pride. And you know, that first email where I said, "Hey, you still interested?" You know, I'm very proud of you know, writing that email and everything that's happened since. Let me ask you
too, like I was I forgot, like with the first 2 months I was holding 4:30 a.m. shifts at Journey and still going to the glove house. So I was holding 2 jobs because I was holding up my end. I'm like, I'm gonna give them enough notice before I actually left. So it was like a 60-day notice like I gave glove house, and so I carried on both jobs for 2 months and had a newborn baby.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Crazy.
The depth of your struggle will determine the height of your success. How much struggle
that.
can you handle, you know? So what's next? What's next? You know, as we kind of close out this episode, I don't know if you want to say anything to your members about, you know, the 2022 or your team, or just, you know, what you kind of hope for in the new year, you know, because this episode will come out before the new year. So anything you want to leave us with?
Just bigger and better things in 2022, man. I want to be the mecca of fitness in our area. You know, I will never leave Journey. This is my calling. I'm a group instructor. I love coaching the group. I feed off the group. But I feel like we'll have some things coming up in Corning where, you know, there are going to be people visiting us for summits and workshops, and we're going to be running the show here and talking about Journey and other things coming up, being the coaching masterminds that we are. That's my goal. I want to be like a masterminder for coaches and run summits and workshops, you know, to give more to our community and the fitness community, because it's such a growing industry right now. And I think this year coming up is going to be the year where we start to lay that foundation, and then we're going to evolve from there. So I got a feeling 2022 is going to be pretty big. So I'll leave with that, and we'll go from there.
Well, Jeremy, you know, you have impacted thousands of people. You mentioned earlier in this podcast that fitness has grown a lot in this area in the last 8 years. I think Journey's had a lot to do with that, and I think you've had a lot to do with that. We've definitely piloted a lot of things, and we will continue to pilot things. And I look forward to growing alongside you and supporting your dreams and just carrying forward the mission of Journey. So thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thank you.
If people want to get more of you, where do they look you up at? Give us your Instagram, Facebook, whatever,
Facebook, Jeremy Purifoy. My Instagram handle is coach_peer. So coach_peer is my IG. So you want more information, hit me up, man. Like I said, I'm an open book, y'all. Hit me up. Thank you guys so much, though. I appreciate this. And I want to do it again.
All right, let's do it. Tune in for part 2. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much, Travis and Cindy. Appreciate you.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the Overcomers Podcast, sponsored by Journey 333. When I am not hosting the Overcomers Podcast, I am working at one of our fitness franchises so that I can continue to help people overcome adversity on a daily basis. That's right. People come to the Journey 333 fitness franchises because they want a coach in their life. They want somebody to help them overcome the adversities of life, motivate them to higher levels of greatness, bring out their potential, help them lose weight, get off medications, fight depression, fight anxiety. That's what we do on a regular basis. If you feel like you want your life to be about helping more people to overcome their adversities, if you feel like you're an overcomer and you want to create more overcomers, then maybe owning a Journey 333 franchise would be for you. To find out more, go to www.journeyfitness333.com.